Hello and welcome to Spark Joy Astrology. I hope you're having a beautiful Tuesday. It is Tuesday, July 25th. I don't know how we got to the 25th already, but here we are. And we are entering into this day with an intense punch to the guts. I'm going to just call it because that's what it was. And I hope that you're kind of rolling out of that because it was definitely more intense in the morning. And, you know, just to add to the intensity, our moon is traveling towards the end of Libra today. Libra represents harmony, balancing, very much a focus on relationships. And being that the moon is in the tail end of Libra, she's going to be making aspects to Pluto, to the North Node, and to Venus retrograding. So big check-ins today. And then the moon will move out of Libra and into Scorpio. So intensity is the name of the game. Our moon actually does make a conjunction to the South Node, which kind of flavors the entire day. When the North Node, or rather South Node of fate, makes a conjunction to the moon, we are looking at letting go of an old story, something that is no longer serving us for our evolution forward. So let's dive into it all. We're going to start with two aspects that have been felt already previous to this day. One of them is not an exact aspect, and the other one has already happened, and we're getting the after flavor. The first one has not happened yet, but we started feeling it coming into close enough range on July 18th. It holds strong until August 9th. So this energy is potent for a while, friends. It is exact on the 30th. So we're moving towards that exact degree. And what it is Uranus squaring Black Moon Lilith. Uranus is revolution energy. It is the rebellion within us, the rebel rather within us that wants to buck society and shift the way the paradigm is currently flowing. So here we are working with it for a bit. And before I want to dive into it, I want to back up because Uranus, who has been flavoring our skies for a few days, needs to be given the homage that it deserves. Mercury on Sunday came into a square with Uranus, and this held true until the evening hours of last night. This particular aspect is powerful. It is asking our minds to get buzzy with electricity, and maybe even some unpredictable experiences come out of this. But we're working towards facing fears to learn and lean into trusting our instincts. This really intense rebel energy of Uranus is a awakening energy, if you will. And so now that we are feeling the Black Moon Lilith coming into square with Uranus, which will be exact on July 30th, there is some bubbling up to the surface of raw inner emotions. The aspect with Mercury squaring Uranus that happened on Sunday to last night was that buzz electric energy that maybe brought things unpredictably to the surface. Now, as of today and all the way until August 9th, there is a bubbling of this crap to the surface. Black Moon Lilith can definitely represent sexual tensions, but she is like Uranus in the fact that she is striving for independence, for freedom. So with these two coming together with a square, we could really be feeling like we want to run away, like we want to break free and we want to rebel against our current life path. So deep breaths, friends, with this particular aspect that we will be riding energetically all the way until the early parts of August. So, whew. All right. Our next one that we are still working with is Venus trining the North Nodes. If you watched yesterday's video, the thunderstorm was perfect at this moment when I mentioned Venus trine the North Node. A huge thunderstorm or thunder rumble went off. So it was very perfect, and it is a powerful aspect. So tuning into your inner pride, right? We're working with a retrograde Venus. So I really think that the the energy is working on self-love. So knowing that we are working with bubbling, raw emotions coming to the surface that might want us to run away from our lives, this particular energy asks us to look inward, to find the self-love, and to choose yourself, to work through the bubbling tension, and just to be loyal to yourself, right? Because Venus is in Leo, the lion, there is this loyal factor. So turning that loyalty into yourself so that you can work through the challenge of this intense day. The next aspect is where we start the day, and that is at 12:39 a.m. Our moon in Libra was at 24 degrees when she made a sextile to Mercury. Well, Mercury was just hanging out with Uranus, you know, making that electric energy to bring things to the surface. So now Mercury is checking in with our moon through a sextile. Sextiles are aspects by the nature of Venus, so this is harmonizing energy. And what we're working with this is a boost in our ability to communicate and really communicate from an emotional, heartfelt place. Our moon represents these emotional yin qualities within us, and Mercury is our communicative energy. So it is definitely an empowered time to have conversations. Harmony, because of the sextile, will be a part of those conversations. So if you know they're going to be hard, this is an aspect that really supports a balanced, harmonious conversation. That is what started the day. So here we move into the next intense aspect. At 3:22 a.m., Pluto squaring the nodes. The nodes are interesting points. They do actually oscillate, so they aren't directly across from one another. They're always kind of moving back and forth. So they go into this retrograde and direct motion. So the nodes, when anything is making an aspect to it, it can kind of do it a few times. So here we are dealing with an energy that we're going to be dealing with for a while, and that is Pluto squaring the nodes. We already did feel this when Venus went into retrograde, when there was a grand cross happening. It was super amplified with that square to the nodes by Pluto, and then the sun was even opposite at that time. So we have been initiated into some serious shadow work, friends. Pluto represents the deep, dark inner workings of our psyche. It definitely has to do with psychology. So doing shadow work, diving deep into inner transformation. The lovely planet of Pluto is ruled by Scorpio, where our moon will be going at the end of this, well, actually at the end of the morning and the early afternoon. So we have a potent scorpionic energy, and Scorpio is the investigator of the cosmos. It wants to get deep into the shadow work and to alchemize that darkness into light. It investigates those dark, scary things that a lot of the energies are scared to do. So definitely potent time to get deep in there, friends. Tonight is the first time that our moon will be in Scorpio and not have the south node there. The south node is the dragon's tail in Vedic astrology. And when our moon conjuncts that later tonight, it is as if the dragon's tail is sweeping away karmic crud. So we are dealing with some stuff today, friends. It is a turning point when Pluto is squaring the nodes, an ending and the beginning of something else. So we often come into the ending of relationships when we're working with a Venus retrograde, a Chiron retrograde, and then Pluto squaring the nodes. So if that is you, I send you oh so much love in this power up, and know that you are supported, friends. After we worked with letting go here at this particular time, early in the morning, we will be rewarded later on. So let's move a little closer into that later on point. At 8 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, the moon moves to 28 degrees of Libra and makes a sextile to Venus, another sextile by the nature of Venus. So we have harmonizing, we have really beautiful ability to get into caring for others with this one. And because it is sextile the moon, caring for feminine people within your life, maybe they give you care today, maybe it's about caring for your body or your most intimate partnerships. But this particular aspect, because it's Venus retrograde, is asking us to check in with ourselves, our own self-love, and how can we create more satisfaction within that relationship container internally, so that externally our relationships reflect that inner mirror. So this is a great time at 8 a.m. to get yourself balanced, to check in with where you're at. And then at 9:05 we have some intensity again when the moon in Libra at 29 degrees squares Pluto. Dun dun dun. This is an emotional catharsis. And the word catharsis, what does that mean? I love the word, so I'm gonna give you the definition. It is the process of releasing, of letting go all of the crap, and in that release there is this relief provided, right? And then this strong ability to move forward, to let go of the repressed emotions. But the hard part with this particular aspect, because it is a square, is that we can be on one spectrum. We can be on that spectrum where crisis is happening to where the catharsis is taking place, or we see that we have this incredible intuitive connection with the moon squaring Pluto, that we're able to kind of weed through the junk and get into the dark parts of ourselves and really alchemize and up level and send ourselves some love. Okay, this particular deep dive into our psychology that is asked of us at 9:05 a.m. is wanting us to shine a light on our subconscious, using the skeleton key of Chiron retrograde to get into the cellar of our shadows and to shine that light inward. There, depending on your chart and whatever house this is happening in, this can be some big fireworks around a cycle that started with Pluto in 2008. So take a deep breath with that. But we are definitely working with a catharsis, friends, with releasing old stuff and providing relief from that release to allow those repressed emotions to dissolve. All right, at 9:05, well, actually between 9:06 and 9:36 a.m., because the nodes are oscillating, we have the moon at 29 degrees of Libra, now opposite the north node and conjunct the south node, right? Because the nodes are opposite one another. The moon being opposite the north node means it's right next to the south node, this point of release, of letting go. So we are most definitely being asked to let go of something today. Maybe it's an old story, maybe it's an old relationship, maybe it's a story within that relationship to allow it to work a little bit more harmoniously. But it is definitely a release, friends. It is time to let go. And depending on what house this is for you, Aries and Libra being where the south node is, so really eyeballing where Libra is in your chart will give you a clue to what you are releasing. Okay, so this is definitely highlighting your emotional instabilities and your insecurities. So breathe into that and know that that is exactly what is supposed to be happening, so that we can purge them, so that we can let go. And unfortunately, moon conjunct south node, we can sometimes get stuck and feel really bogged down and overwhelmed. So, challenging emotions are part of it, friends. Painful memories may come up. This is the dragon's tail sweeping out old karmic debris. So be patient with yourself today, friends. It's definitely a day for deep breaths. At 10:55 a.m. the moon moves out of all of those challenging end of the constellation aspects and into Scorpio. So I've already spoken to Scorpio, the intensity of being the investigator who wants to get into the shadowy parts of our psyche and see them and look at them and all that goodness. we are supercharged with our instincts. That's the investigative energy, right? That intuitive knowing to take in those subtle realms, right, of information to really get deep. So this is where we are empowered to make the moves from being in that stuck, shadowy place and into catharsis, into that healing. So seeing the intensity and moving through it with our moon energy. The moon represents yin. It's how we are emotionally showing up in the world. So with Scorpio, it's time to show up, to see the shit, and hopefully work on it, friends. Okay, our next aspect is the moon at 2 degrees in Scorpio now, making a square to the sun in Leo, house of all the retrograde fun to Venus that is going down. And so this is our first quarter moon. This is when we are at the halfway point between the new moon and the full moon. So it is a check-in with your intention seeds that you planted at that new moon time. But this halfway point brings a square, right? So there's some contentious energy between the yin and the yang, which, you know, so perfect with all that's been already happening aspect-wise this day. But because the sun is in Leo, we can be working around our big personalities, our grandness, our lion energy, our loyalties, our expressive energy around how we show up, our ego, right? So this is energy that is coming into square with our yin sensibilities. So our big personalities could somehow maybe be sabotaging our close partnerships, our relationships, not only with our intimate humans, but with our own body. So this is definitely on the table. With this intense energy, with moon in Scorpio and the lion of the sun shining on us, it is definitely a time to seek inner validation, that self-love, right? That revolution around love that is taking place could be wreaking havoc in your life today. And this is where we get to practice self-love and allow that sabotaging ego energy to dissolve away. It is looking at loyalties, you know, with the Venus retrograde, Chiron retrograde, and this particular aspect, there could be some of us working with infidelity energies on the table. So definitely sending you love. This is emotional drama. Either way, doesn't matter how high the emotional level of drama is, there is some in your life today. So there is that. But the great thing, friends, is after this really intense day of the South Node conjunct the moon, of Venus, well, she's not really making a super challenging one today. Hers were all kind of lovely. It was more the moon and really, yeah, the moon, our emotional nature, really working through fears to let something go today. And at 10:27 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, the moon makes a trine to Saturn. This is kind of the icing, or rather the cherry on top of the cake, on top of the icing, because this is a check-in. It's a check-in, number one, with our ancestors. Moon, our deepest connections, our lineage, trining Saturn retrograde in Pisces, a very spiritual energy here with Pisces in the waters of spiritual Pisces. And so with it going retrograde, we're working internally, right? And so this is a beautiful aspect to tune into your ancestors. I have been having an incredible practice since going on my psilocybin retreat to Mexico with actually connecting to my grandma. She has been a potent player in my life for the last few weeks since that ceremony. And so, you know, I'm going there, and I really employ you to go there tonight to tune into your higher guidance as well as your well ancestors that can support you in this particular lifetime. So with that being said, in the more physical realms, what this energy is asking us to get a little serious. Saturn is serious, and take responsibility. another Saturn quality for all that is going on in our life. We cannot skirt this off onto anyone else. We have made the choices to be here, to endure the challenge of the South Node conjuncting the moon today. Whatever has come up, take responsibility for it. Glean the wisdom that is available. That's the gold, friends, and that is what Pluto is asking us to uncover in the depths of our soul. So this is a real beautiful time to take stock of your emotional strength and patience that you have worked with today to work through the crap and to handle the seriousness that was put on your plate today. There are important choices ahead, and letting go of the old stories that do not serve you in this journey forward is really ripe today. So get at it, friends. I love you so much and wish you a very beautiful day, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Mwah.